Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining Fullscript and Lesli Bitel here today with us. This is Fullscript's official first webinar of 2022, so we're very excited. My name is Kaylee. I'm part of the marketing team here at Fullscript, and as I said, we're very excited to have Lesli here today to discuss how to create your one-to-many model and move clients from a first touch experience into a longer and deeper commitment, among many other things. Before we get into the presentation, though, a little housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded, so you will have access to the recording after the event today via your email, so keep an eye on your email. It also will live on fullscript.com/webinars, so you can find it there as well, along with any other resources we are able to provide. And as you probably have seen on your GoToWebinar dashboard, you have a section for questions. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, add them to that area. I'm on the back end here kind of looking at them, and we will hopefully have some time, or we will definitely have some time for a live Q&A at the end. We're also going to share some details, and Lesli will give us maybe some more details on her 4-day masterclass that's starting, I believe, this Monday. So very exciting offer there to come too. Before we get started though, a little bit more about Lesli Bitel for our audience today. Lesli studied dietetics and exercise physiology in college, did her post-grad internship at Cook County Hospital, and then worked at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, where she performed both clinical work as well as corporate wellness. She also spent time working in the sales and marketing as a sales and marketing executive within the pharmaceutical industry. So with all these experiences, ended up opening her own practice in 2007 as a registered dietitian, as well as a health coach, where she has helped and is helping professionals overcome the confusion associated with the business side of creating a profitable practice. I mean, I could go on and on. There's so much more, and we love having Lesli here. As most of you will know, this is not our first time having a webinar with Lesli Bitel. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to you, Lesli, so you can take it away, and I will jump back in for a Q&A towards the end.
Sounds good. All right. Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy to be with all of you today. And again, I'm Lesli Bitel. I am a business consultant and mentor specifically for functional medicine practitioners. And this is my brand new masterclass called Beyond One-on-One, Creating and Selling Lucrative Products and Courses for Functional Medicine Professionals. So again, I'm delighted to share this information with you. I think you're going to get a ton of value. All right, so let's kick things off by talking a little bit about your private practice. I know that each of you you're in a different place in your business building journey. That said, most commonly, we tend to work in the traditional delivery model, providing one-on-one services for our clients. And as you, I'm sure, are aware, this is often referred to as the fee-for-service model. And this is essentially where we work once and then we're paid for our time. Make no mistake, one-to-one can be really great in terms of generating revenue, and it really is often the cornerstone of our work, right? But the thing that I want to point out, if you're only doing one-to-one, you really are missing out and essentially leaving money on the table. And that is what we're going to try to help you with today. So just a few of the drawbacks pertaining to the one-to-one model. First, it really is hours for dollars. So you are trading time for money directly in a one-to-one ratio. There's a dollar amount that you're eventually going to top out at, right? You get to the point where you can't increase your revenue by charging more because the market just won't bear it. So eventually you're going to find yourself maxing out on the amount you can make for one-on-one work, regardless of whether or not you're in the cash or insurance model. And you're also eventually going to top out on billable hours because there's only so many hours in the day where you can work. And of course, once those hours are gone, income stops as well. So with these restrictions, again, with the typical one-to-one service model, you will eventually hit a ceiling. And there will be no way to grow in this model because again, you have no more time to sell for one-on-ones, and you can't raise your prices because you've hit that top end of what your market is willing to pay. So it essentially leaves you stuck, right? Unless, and this is the good news, unless you create leveraged and passive income streams. So today is all about creating leveraged and passive income. And what this means is you, instead of working specifically or solely in the one-to-one model, we are going to talk about creating leveraged and passive income. And this means selling one-to-many in addition to one-to-one as a way for you to expand beyond that hours for dollars, private session only model, and ultimately be able to serve more people in a more time efficient manner. Okay, so I'm hoping that makes sense in terms of just an introduction to this model. So let's dig in a little deeper. What exactly is leveraged versus passive income? What's the difference? So let's first talk about the leverage model. So the leverage model, this means serving more people than one-on-one could offer in any given period of time. So because we have a limited number of hours in our day, just imagine how many people you could serve if you had a class or a group or some kind of a seminar, right? Where there's one of you, but many participants. So that's really what we're looking at here. So case in point, just as an example, in our time together today, I'm able to reach many more people by offering this webinar to a large group versus trying to talk to each of you, separately, which would be very difficult and probably impossible. So this webinar is an example of leveraging both time and technology, since so many of you are in different geographical locations. And if, let's just say hypothetically, if today's presentation were some kind of a paid training, I'd also be leveraging the income opportunity, as I'd be able to generate more revenue as compared to doing a one-on-one meeting with one client. So on the other hand, passive income refers to generating revenue via assets that you've already created in your business, such as, instructional products, a pre-recorded workshop, or let's say a 6-module audio course with handouts, for example. So the key here is that, generally speaking, in a passive income product, it's all pre-recorded and pre-written and ready for someone to buy and then utilize on their own time. And generally, this is a standalone product. Again, you create it once, and then the beauty of this model is that you're able to passively generate income by driving promotions to this product offering pretty much year-round. So let's say, hypothetically, that I wanted to create a passive income product from this particular webinar, just hypothetically. So after it's over, I would take the MP4, maybe I'd even create a little workbook that goes with it, and I could sell it as a downloadable digital product on my website. So basically, again, I create it once and then I sell it, but I'm not actively showing up each time to deliver the content, remember, because this is passive. So I create it once and then I'm done, which is really a beautiful thing. But here's the key. You have to know how to sell leveraged and passive products to be successful in this model, because the reality is you could create the most amazing product, or program full of, life-changing tools and support. But if you don't know how to package it up and sell it, you're essentially sunk. And so that's why we're here today. That's what today's webinar is all about: how to create, market, and fill leverage programs and sell passive income products. So I'm going to help you with that. So today you're going to learn the truth about designing and filling lucrative leverage group programs, including tips for passive income products too. So how does that sound, everybody? All right, so in today's webinar, here's what you're going to learn. One, you're going to discover how to turn your expertise into exponential income via that one-to-many model. You'll learn the proven business structure that gives you multiple offers at multiple levels. And I like to refer to this as the profit pyramid. We'll uncover how to move clients from a low price first commitment all the way up that profit pyramid to your highest level services. I'll even touch on how to be paid in advance to create your passive income product. And I know you're going to love this part. And as promised, you'll learn the sequential marketing steps. And this is so key so that you can successfully fill your programs, sell your programs. And of course, there will be time for Q&A at the end. And if you've heard my talks before, you know how much I love answering your questions and really helping you to apply what you've learned into your own business. So that's really my intention today. So I am going to cover a lot of material. Definitely keep a pen handy, jot down any clarifications or feedback that you might need or want. And we can try to cover those in the Q&A time. Also, do be sure to stay with me to the end because I really do have an incredible next step for those of you that really want to take a deeper dive into creating your own multiple streams of income strategy. So I'll be sharing how you can do that at no cost to you towards the end of today's webinar. So I just want to make sure that you stay with me. I'll be sharing more info on that. All right, so a little bit of background for those of you that don't know. So a few years back, I was chugging along. I had a nice private practice as a registered dietitian, and I also did coaching, really specializing in a couple of different areas. First was mindful eating for weight management, and then later, as I really built on my own functional medicine background, I moved into a role where I was focused on functional nutrition specifically for neurological disorders. So really loved that work. I worked hard to create it, and frankly, I was quite proud of what I had created. But here was the thing. I was hitting some of those same limitations that I mentioned earlier. I really had no more hours in the day to serve people because good news, good problem to have, I was pretty full. It's a great thing, but also because there was an expected rate for my work, my income, I really felt like I had topped out at what the market would bear. And of all things, my two beautiful kiddos were in high school at that time, and it was not lost on me that college was right around the corner. So I'm sure many of you can relate to this. I was definitely in a situation where I realized I needed a big cash infusion. And I needed a cash infusion that was a higher number than maybe one or two more private clients could bring in, right? And remember, I really wanted to move out of the one-to-one model exclusively because I was running out of time. I was really hitting some of those barriers that I described earlier. So I turned to my own mentor, and fortunately, she had the obvious answer, and that was to bundle my service, my expertise into a course that many people could take at one time. Not only would I make exponentially more revenue from that particular model, but each individual participant would be making a smaller and easier investment as compared to working with me privately. And I really love the idea of being able to serve more people, especially those that just weren't in a financial position to jump into my higher end private one-to-one program. So I always wanted to serve those folks as well. And also I knew that for the hours I invested, my ultimate income would potentially be higher as compared to the one-on-one hours with private clients. So long story short, I put together my first 6-module group program and I priced it at $497. Okay. I knew it was going to be incredibly helpful to have, again, something at that lower price point that people could enter into to work with me, that would bring in people who, were out there and waiting, but again, just could not, from a financial perspective, jump into a higher and more expensive private coaching program. Bottom line, it was a win-win for me and them. So I was really excited about that. And just to share some of the results that I experienced, and guys, I want to preface this by saying, if I can do it, you can do it. This was my first time and I'm going to teach you the strategies that I use to be successful in this model. So in my very first launch for the 6-week course, I sold it for $497. I ended up making over 30K, which was an amazing way to replenish my kids' college tuition account. I was super excited. And again, the best part of the strategy is it was a win-win. It gave me a way to serve others that were, again, hesitant to jump right into high-end one-on-ones. And it turned out to be a really perfect taste of my work that was affordable. And the best bonus, many of these folks that did my 6-week course went on to do other programs in my business. Some moved into like the VIP super high level one-to-one coaching. That's really the beauty of this model, and I see it all the time, where someone begins with a smaller investment and over time really buys multiple courses and maybe other services. So it's a really, really amazing business model. So that's why I'm so excited to share this with you. So again, here's the thing that I really want to emphasize. Again, if I can do it, I really believe you can do it too. I know that you can do a successful leveraged offer regardless of whether you want to offer a group workshop or a seminar or scale your business with online courses or even create a passive income product. So I really believe it to be true because I know I've helped many hundreds of practitioners succeed in this leveraged model. And so again, today I'm going to pull back the curtains on how to do it. And that's what today is all about. All right, so let's jump in and get really clear about multiple streams of income, shall we? All right, so this means inside of your business, inside of your one practice, you have different offerings or services or packages or programs at varying price points. So really, you end up having something for every budget level. Okay, so you've got a variety. And this means really at the end of the day, it means you're not putting all of your eggs in the private client basket, which is super important. And everybody, I like to make an analogy, being an RD myself, and I know many of you, work with nutrition in some capacity. It's just like the healthy plate analogy that you would share with your own patients or clients, right? It's kind of like you tell your clients they ideally to achieve that healthy plate, you need a variety of foods, right? You can't just rely on one food to nourish the body. The same is true for a healthy business. You must have a variety of revenue streams and not be solely reliant on one. So it's a really important business concept that I want to really drive home here. So I'm going to introduce you to a model I like to use. I think you're going to love it. And it's going to help you to design your business. It's called the profit pyramid. Okay. The purpose of a profit pyramid is to outline the different types and levels of services that you will offer to your audience. Again, at varying price points, and understanding how they all fit together so you have a little something for everyone and you're able to effectively turn your expertise into various revenue streams. Okay, so I'm going to show you where online courses and programs as well as passive income products fit into this plan, into the profit pyramid. All right, so I'm actually going to start at the very top of your profit pyramid with a segment entitled at the very tippy top, private clients. And the reason I'm starting here is that most people in the health and wellness profession really like to begin with one-on-one clients because one-on-one clients, they're just one client is easier to book, believe it or not, than selling a large program. It's one consultation or conversation that gets a private client to say yes to working with you. So it's generally an easy place to start as a practitioner to get private, paying clients, right? And I highly recommend that. The reason it's at the top of the pyramid, which you will see as I flesh this all out for you today, is that private clients get the most one-on-one, customized, individualized attention from you as compared to all the other levels on the profit pyramid. And as such, they also pay the highest rates for that kind of attention. So it is at the tippy top of our model today. So one thing to take note of on the profit pyramid, as you go up the pyramid, the price goes up. As you go down, obviously the price goes down all the way to free, okay? So an important concept there. So now I'm gonna go to the bottom of the model, and that is your free stuff, all right? So one of the things you'll do after you have a handful of, private clients and, some clients attraction strategies is you'll want to begin to create free resources that allow you to create that all important, I'm sure you've heard this terminology before, the know, like, and trust factor with your audience, okay? So what does this look like? Oh my goodness, it could be so many things. It could be an ebook, a checklist, it could be a video series, or some other free resource that provides value and earns respect and trust in the marketplace, because again, that's really what we are about. It could include blogging, it could be doing Facebook or maybe Instagram Lives, could be doing offering a free resource such as an ebook on your website, public speaking out in the world. Generally nowadays, that's via webinar like I'm doing here today. The common denominator with all of these options is that it's no cost to your audience and it creates wonderful credibility. Okay, it really positions you as an authority and an expert in the marketplace, and it offers tremendous value to your audience. And it helps people to get to know you and really get a sense or a taste of your work. So now the question is, what comes in between on this profit pyramid? So working our way up, one step up from your free stuff would be a category that I like to call home study products. And these are usually downloadables, maybe from your website. They might include things like pre-recorded audios, maybe videos, maybe some accompany, you have a workbook that goes with an MP4 or video recording or lesson or some similar elements. But the key here is, generally speaking, there are no live elements provided, right? So generally your customer has to do the work at home at their own pace, right? And that's how they consume the material. They download it and they consume it on their own. These are usually anywhere from, maybe I'm giving you a ballpark in terms of pricing, I would say about $27 to maybe $400 or so. And again, there's no live elements, generally speaking. So I do want to mention, based on the pricing at this level, the home study product, I want to say that we could also actually include your Fullscript supplement sales at this level in your pyramid. And I do want to point out that this truly is a wonderful form of passive income for you. Okay, so really important concept there. So that is where I would categorize your supplement sales, is in this particular level, and generally it's based on that price point. All right, so let's keep going. The next level up from there on your pyramid would be something like a paid webinar series or a paid masterclass series. For example, just to give you some examples, maybe you have a 6-week program that you offer. Maybe it meets once a week, live, over Zoom, or through a webinar platform. And maybe it includes a little bit of question and answer time. So some live interaction. And guys, to be clear, this is exactly what I offered when I referenced my very first 6-week webinar series. Okay, so this is exactly where I started. So I chose 6 weeks and I did it live. So everyone started on the same day and ended on the same, around the same time. And I did include teaching inside of each class. And I also left time for Q&A. So there was a lot of really nice interaction. So, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of these 6 to 10 week programs out there. Sometimes There are pre-recorded modules that you watch first with live Q&A sessions. And sometimes the whole training is live, but generally there's not a whole lot of focused, personalized attention in this particular model because it tends to be a larger group course, and it's just frankly hard to do in that particular model. And also remember, the price point is such that, you know, it's really not designed for a lot of personalized attention, right? So it's a group, you know, there's a lot of interaction depending on how you have it organized. And around the middle of the pyramid here is where you could just incidentally, to give you another couple of ideas, you could put a live workshop or maybe like a 2-day retreat, that sort of thing. And these kinds of offers are, this is a ballpark, I would say priced from about 500 to 2,000 or so. So just to give you some ideas on what might fit in that particular level. So let's keep going. This next one is super, super important, and one that I've seen work extremely well in the functional medicine arena. All right, so one step up comes your high ticket signature program. And this might be a hybrid program where you're taking a very small group of people through a high touch program with perhaps, depending on how you have things set up, maybe you're offering a significant amount of personal time and attention, not only in the group format, like the small group format, but maybe inside of your program, you decide hypothetically that each person gets a certain amount of one-on-one time with you over the course of the entire program. So again, as I mentioned, this particular model, I think, and I've witnessed this, I believe it works especially well for maybe your more complex functional nutrition clients or functional medicine clients where they need and want, they want some personalization. So your clients want some personalization built into their program. So perhaps hypothetically, you decide to include maybe some functional lab testing. Hypothetically, maybe you say, gosh, you know, I think I want to add in, you know, some kind of gut test and or a micronutrient test. And then you can include a couple of private sessions into the mix whereby you would review the test results directly one-on-one with the patient and make modification to their plan in those private sessions, right? So, you know, so like maybe it's a 12-week program, you maybe meet every week as a group, you could have some pre-recorded modules that you're including in the program. And again, perhaps you want to do some testing, so you include a test or two, and you include maybe one, 2, or 3 private sessions, so that you're actually you're giving some personalized time with that patient or to the patient as well. Okay, so perhaps there are some special done for you services that you decide to include for each participant. And an example of that could be maybe in this program, in this hybrid program, you promote the fact that you're going to include maybe a personalized supplement plan in this type of program. And again, because you're offering some one-on-one time, you get to know the patient, you get to know the client, maybe you're doing some testing, it does allow for that level of personalization because it's a more intimate, more consistent interaction with you. Some customization in private time, perhaps. You would logically, of course, be at a higher price point because remember, we're moving up the pyramid, we're moving up to a higher price point. So, you know, just to give you a ballpark in terms of what this might look like from a pricing standpoint, I'm going to ballpark anywhere from about 2 to 5K. Again, these are just ballpark numbers. I've seen everything in between, okay? So please don't get stuck on any particular number. It could be a little bit less depending on what you're offering. And for that matter, it could be more. Perhaps you're doing a longer program that includes, you know, more customization. Maybe you're adding a couple or a few functional tests. So you want to make sure that you're covering your costs there. So, but I do think this is a great model, and especially for that more complex client, right? And the benefit to you is that a significant portion of the program then is delivered via leverage services, such as group sessions or even pre-recorded modules, okay? Now, guys, don't forget, jot down your questions so that I can help you at the end. All right, so finally, we've worked our way back up to the top of this profit pyramid with our private clients. I'm not going to stipulate a particular price for private clients because your packages and fees can really vary. The key here is that you're bundling your one-on-one services into a comprehensive program or package that's really designed to help solve your clients' main challenges, okay? So honestly, my hope for each of you is that you've either moved away from the a la carte sessions or you're wanting to move away, right, from a la carte one session at a time. If you aren't there yet, frankly, this would be a really, really great place for you to start, in all honesty. So my suggestion would be then to make it a priority to maybe move away from the fee-for-service model and instead take that step and move into those high-touch VIP level programs. If you have questions about how to do this, I would encourage you to reach out because I'd be happy to help, all right? A really important first step. But once again, do remember that you're at the highest price point for your private clients, and because of that, they get more personalized time and attention as compared to any of the other services on the profit pyramid. All right. All right. So once again, this is how your profit pyramid would look from top to bottom. Okay. And you can see that this is what we call another name for it is an Ascension Model, meaning that people can start at the bottom and there's always a logical next step for them to go. So however, of course, people can, this is a really important concept, people can enter your services at any level. And many, oftentimes I should say, they actually do enter your services. Maybe they learn about you from, let's just say, a free webinar, so something you did for free. And then perhaps they move directly into the private clients, that tippy top of your pyramid, your high-end programs. I think that's a fine idea and a fantastic way to start. And honestly, my philosophy and what I teach my clients is to get traction with private clients, especially in the package and program model. And then once you again, get some traction, build your email list, which is a whole other thing that I teach my clients. And then we position ourselves to build out some of these other, layers of your business, right? So, whether it's a home study product, a high ticket signature program, or webinar series, or anything in between. So, so that's a really important point to note that people don't necessarily, your clients don't have to go sequentially up the profit pyramid. And in fact, I have found really the opposite to be beneficial, right? To start with private and then, or, you can always start them with a home study product or a group course and then move them to the next step. So it just really depends on what your goals are in your business. All right. So let's step now into different design models for your group program, because what I want to help you to do, I want to give you an overview on the design process. So one common type of program is an open/closed enrollment program. Another type of program that you might offer is an evergreen program, and even another type would be something like a membership program. So I want to give you kind of an overview into these three common models, just so you have an understanding as to how to set things up, which will, I think, translate into you getting some clarity on where's your opportunity, what do you want to build out as a next step in your own business. All right, so let me give you an overview of these. So An open/closed enrollment program would be an upcoming live course, right? So let's say that you start the course on a particular date and time. In this example, you pick a date and time, and the thing that I really want to emphasize is that everyone in the course starts together at the same time, goes through the process together, and it's the kind of thing that maybe you launch maybe once or twice a year. But in between, when it's not happening, it's just not happening, right? People have to wait. They're maybe put on a wait list, which is not a bad thing, guys, because it does tend to create what we call pent-up demand, all right? So this kind of course could be a live course, for instance, like a 6-week webinar series. And again, this is exactly what I did for my first group program launch. It could be, if you prefer, it could be pre-recorded modules, and maybe you add some live interactive Q&A calls. But the thing that's really important to understand in this model is that there's a start date and a stop date, right? Okay, so let's look at a specific example just to drive this point home. So let's say that you're wanting to sell a course about healing the gut. And let's just pretend it's a really awesome live 8-week course that really is designed to transform lives. All right. So in this example, it's a live course that starts on a particular day. And note that it's not a home study. It's not a home study. So everybody that signs up for the course goes through this experience together. And when it's over until the next time you run it. Okay. It's still the one-to-many leveraged model because remember, there's one trainer or expert, you, to many participants. And again, the benefit to this is that it equals more revenue, more money for you, and it allows more people to lean into your work at a price point that's more affordable, okay? Now, let me give you some bonus information for you here about what makes an open/closed enrollment course different from the models we're going to talk about next, all right? So what you're going to want to do in this type of model is you're going to do what we call a live launch, okay? It's a promotion period where maybe you offer some kind of a freebie first, such as a report or a special ebook, something like that. And then maybe that leads to maybe like a complimentary webinar or a masterclass, or I see a lot of my clients doing like free, like 4 or 5 day Facebook challenges. It's really info packed, and it leads people, this is the important part, is it leads people to the sales page for your paid program, okay? That's a really important concept. And in this model, the thing that's really nice about it is that you can offer some pretty cool incentives that are designed to encourage people to register quickly for that paid offer. So the first one that I want to talk to you about is early bird savings, okay? And this just means that if people register by a certain date, a predetermined date, they get a special price, usually a nice savings from the full fee. And the thing that I want to drive home here is it really, really is highly effective in stopping the procrastination that people tend to have, right? Where many of us procrastinate on these decisions. So it really helps people to move towards a decision and end the procrastination. So it gets them off the fence. And the second investment that works really well here is called a fast enrollment bonus. This means that you might offer a special item or opportunity for the first X number of people who register, like, maybe the first 10 or 15 people that register get something special, right? Maybe they get a special training, or maybe, and I used to do this in the work that I did, I used to offer a really awesome time-sensitive bonus where the first X number of people, like 7 or 10 people that signed up, would get a one-on-one consult with me, and that works really well too. So the thing I want to really emphasize here is the fast enrollment bonus is not contingent on a date per se, the way that early bird savings is, This is contingent upon people registering right away right after the course doors open, because let's say after the first 10 people enroll in the course, this fast enrollment bonus is gone, right? So in the example I gave, in my particular case, in my earlier days, I would offer a fast action bonus. It would be like the first 7 people that register, maybe the first 10 people that register, get a special 30-minute one-on-one session with me. So basically, 1 through 10 got that bonus, and when they were gone, they were gone. So it wasn't based on a date in the calendar per se, like the early bird special or the early bird price. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. These 2 incentives that we've talked about, what they do is they create a couple of things that are extremely important in the world of marketing, and that is scarcity and urgency. And these are proven ways to, again, to help someone to avoid procrastination. And they've been shown to help people really make an empowered decision without it just kind of falling off their radar or kind of like never making it to the top of their to-do list. So the takeaway is I highly recommend in a live launch that you do both. You offer both of these incentives. All right, the next example, now we're going to talk about evergreen programs, okay? And this is generally a passive income program. It's usually pre-recorded. Generally speaking, someone can buy the program at any time, okay? So, usually there's not a particular start date, right? Because it's offered year-round, kind of whenever you want it. So this program is available at all times. Your clients or customers just get to download whatever it is that you've packaged up together, your videos and workbook, for example. Or you could, now this is another kind of nuance, you could have a semi-regular live component even with an evergreen model. So let me just give you a quick example. Guys, these are just examples, right? I want to give you kind of the lay of the land in terms of like a bunch of the options that you have. So I do know people who have an evergreen course that can be bought at any time, but they do maybe a once a month live 90-minute Q&A for anyone that's really ever bought the program. Or maybe they have like a Facebook group where people that have purchased the Evergreen program, so they go through the Evergreen program on their own, but maybe this is maybe you've got like some kind of support mechanism in place in case they have questions. So I'd say the most common options there would be like either a live monthly Q&A or a Facebook group, right? Where, your audience can interact and help each other out, and you can pop in to answer questions as well. So again, you don't have to do this. These are just ideas to add value to an evergreen product. All right, so let's say that, again, what you're wanting to create and sell, let's just say, again, it's a course about healing the gut. And in this example, let's say that it's a paid home study course that happens to be pre-recorded, okay? So let's just say it's 8 modules of videos and handouts, and they're delivered over an 8-week period, starting at the time the person purchases, right? They go to your website, they see it, they buy it, they can start. So you might have, blog posts out there in terms of like how to sell it. You might have blog posts out there on the internet that drive people to this particular sales page on your product. You might mention the program whenever you do, for example, a podcast interview, or you might be using paid ads like Facebook ads or something like that to drive people, potential customers, to your sales page. Another idea would be to ask referral partners to promote your sales page, right? That can work really well too. But the idea here is that the sales page is up generally all the time, right? And usually the program is available all the time, and thus the name Evergreen. So you can find lots of different ways and times to promote the program for people to enroll when it serves their schedule, which is really, really nice. It's also called rolling admission. So, people are kind of rolling in and out throughout the year. So let me draw more clearly on an example of the way an evergreen program can work. Okay, so this is, I think, going to really help clarify for you some probably some questions that you have. So once your particular client or customer has registered for and maybe enjoyed your free material, remember at that bottom level of your profit pyramid, perhaps they've downloaded a workbook that you offer, a checklist, something free, right? Something that offers value. Then you move them into a series of pre-created follow-up emails, okay? So guys, what this means is you sit down and you write the emails and you upload them into your email management system like, MailChimp or Constant Contact, right? There's lots of options out there. So once they download the freebie, it triggers the sequence of follow-up pre-created emails. And what those emails do is they promote the next step. The next step is your paid evergreen program, okay? And maybe you're offering some nice incentives for them to invest in it, right? So in these emails, I do want to be clear, it directs the person to your purchase page. It's another word we use is a sales page, right? And the nice thing is you can, depending on your technology, you can still use early bird and other special bonuses to inspire fast action. And so that's a really nice thing. All right. So I do want to be clear that you can drive people to the sequence at any time in this model, and you can also, include, some of those bonuses that we talked about, right? Like, those incentives, right? The early bird incentives. You can offer, like a lot of those same incentives. That is going to depend on your technology. The key is you have to remember to always drive people to your free materials, which is going to trigger that automated sequence. Let me just briefly talk about the membership model. This is absolutely becoming so popular. A membership program is an ongoing subscription that generally continues indefinitely. It goes month to month. There's generally no end, although again, there's nuances in between. What's nice about this model is it gives you a very consistent monthly revenue or income. And so there's a lot of really nice advantages. So typically people can join year round. And as you add more calls and trainings, it really grows in value, the membership program. So I've seen this model work really well in functional medicine or functional nutrition. I've seen it work extremely well as a couple examples with clients with whom I've worked, IBD, weight management, parents who have children on the spectrum, just to give you a few examples. And just to kind of zero in, maybe you decide you want to have a membership program called the IBD Wellness Tribe, okay? And again, it's for people in this particular case, people that have a diagnosis of irritable bowel disease. So it's an ongoing monthly program. They can sign up at any time. Maybe the price point is $47 a month or thereabouts. And then you got to figure out what are you going to include. So I see a lot of these kinds of programs that offer 2 live calls a month. Maybe you're doing, an educational call one time and then a Q&A call for the second call, plus some kind of educational resource library. So that can work really well. Generally, filling your membership, a few things that you want to consider. You do want to identify some early adopters because you need people to move into the group, right? You want that camaraderie and that, the sense of community. And guys, that's why a lot of people out there love memberships, because they want to feel that they're a part of a community of like-minded individuals. So you want to have early adopters. I like to recommend that the first people that sign up for your membership, you offer them some kind of a special, founding members incentive, right? So it could be like a nice price point where they enter in, and then they're, that price is locked in for life. You can also give them fast enrollment bonuses. And later, as the program evolves, the membership really grows and evolves, you can begin to identify some of your stars, right? The people that are really, really engaged, and perhaps invite them to step into a moderator role. So there's a lot of really cool things that we can do. And just like with the Evergreen course, you want to be cognizant of driving people to your membership program. So that's a really important concept. And it doesn't rely on a start date necessarily, unless, and you may decide to do this, unless you decide to move into like where you're opening and closing enrollment a couple times a year. Okay, so I have seen that. Again, what that does is it will build up pent-up demand. You can create a wait list in between times when you're opening the doors for the membership. All right. So I do want to cover this briefly. I am cognizant of our time, but let me just give you an overview of some of the decisions that you are going to want to make in the process of creating your next step. So basically, you can see going across your screen, you're going to want to look at, there's a few decision points, right? You're going to want to look at the length or duration of your program, how are you going to deliver it, the number of people that you hope to enroll, because you want to do some financial forecasting, the cost, and what are some of the features, right? Are you going to offer handouts, recordings, maybe transcripts, a Facebook group? So I do give you some examples here, everything from a 6-month or a 6-week live webinar series. Maybe you have a goal of 30 people at $397 each, and you're going to offer the handouts and recordings as a bonus. Or maybe you want to do a longer program, a 6-month program, where you're teaching, skill-based webinars each week or every other week, and you're also including some Q&A calls, special Q&A calls into the mix. Maybe your goal is 18 people at a price point of almost $3,000. And then you can see the various options for bonuses. I'm not going to go into these because these are a little bit less common, the 30-day and 1-day intensive. I don't see those super often right now, so we're going to skip that for now. The one I do want to mention, because I am seeing this really, really just exploding in the market, is the membership program. So guys, this is a volume-based program because it's a low price point, right? It could be $27 a month, it could be, it really varies. 27, 47, 97, like I've seen it all over the board, but generally it's a lower price, which means you got to compensate for that with more volume, right? So there's no cap in terms of the number of people that can sign up at any given time. It's ongoing. Maybe again, you're offering two monthly trainings, right, in the program. So each month the participant gets access to 2 live trainings. Maybe you're offering a Facebook group for that added sense of community. They get a content library, and again, they can access the recordings to those sessions. All right, so we are going to talk about some important critical keys that I think are really important to help you to build a group program. So I do have a little bit more I have to share, but guys, I do want to take a quick pause. I want to make sure that you all know about my really special program. It kicks off February 7th. So it's an actual 4-day live event. And guess what? It's free. So you can't beat that. I want to recommend this as a next step. In this program, we are going to take 4 days. We're going to drill down in a lot of detail. You get tons of handouts, templates galore, all kinds of written material to support your learning. And guys, you're going to walk away with your own profit pyramid plan. I'm going to give you a hypothetical model and really help you see what the potential is for generating revenue in this model. And then one day, I think it's day 3, we're going to do your model, right? We're going to hammer out your model. And then day 4 is all about Q&A. So 100% Q&A, you're going to get all your questions answered so that you can take this model and run with it. So guys, please make sure that you register. The URL is leslibitel.com/MSI. And that stands for multiple streams income. leslibitel.com MSI. All right? All right, so real quick, critical keys. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because I'm very aware of time. You got to know what your audience wants. Really super important. Know what your audience wants. Back when I was deciding what to offer, I really began to listen, and I identified the fact that my clients were really struggling with that enrollment conversation. How to have a great discovery call that leads to more yeses. So that's what I discovered. Guys, it is the most important thing. Create a product or program that meets an urgent need. And I promise you, all the rest will fall into place. All right? Do what people want solved now. And the key here is that might be different than what you think they want solved or what you think is important. So it's really interesting. I recommend that you interview, you do some surveys. Super, super important to, do your homework. Make sure your free content delivers value. Okay, so quite often, and I've seen this before, it's kind of sad when this happens. So what I tend to see, I don't want to say all the time by any stretch, but sometimes in this model, you have people that really are not providing a whole lot of value in their free content. So I just want to sway you to be cognizant of providing value. So important. It will create goodwill and good things will happen. I can virtually promise. Even for people that never buy, right? We still want to provide value. And the next tip is you don't need to create your entire course before you actually sell it, which is amazing. I do want to point out that some people get so intimidated by this whole idea that they don't even get started. So here's what you need to know in order to get yourself moving forward. You need to know the subject matter, how it will be broken down, like your outline, what will be taught, the name of your course, and then after you have these things, you can begin to market. You can actually create the course 1 week at a time. So my advice to each of you, spend more time on the marketing and less time perhaps on creating the content, because I see the opposite. Okay, so again, you need the outline, but you can kind of flesh out the scripts and the content as you move forward. You don't have to have it done all up front. It can be done 1 week at a time, and this allows you some flexibility and wiggle room. And again, you can be paid to create a passive income product, which is super, super cool, and I highly recommend it. What you do is you record it for a home study later. Remember, you're getting paid for offering it the first time. So instead of spending tons and tons of time in, recording every single session, making sure every single handout is perfect, what I recommend is you spend more time on the marketing, right? I shared with you like the bottom line, what you need to know to be in position to market. Fill up your course and create the modules as you go, okay? So that is what I recommend it. And if you don't, hopefully you'll get plenty of sales, but if you don't, this allows you the flexibility to, to either scrap the idea, or what I like better is to course correct. You can refine your idea. The other tip is try to reverse the risk, right? So in a nutshell, I like to offer money back guarantees, but you just want to make sure that it's time limited, right? So like maybe attend the first 2 classes, that way, if it doesn't meet their needs, they can get their money back, or maybe they get credit towards another service that you offer. Okay, so those are options. And frankly, what I found in my experience is that you'll end up getting more sales that way, more sales than you otherwise would. Okay, so just remember, you want to serve your audience through a no-cost resource. That's really your first step. Then you move them to the next logical step, would be the paid program with little or no risk to them. Okay, so those are really the 3 steps that you need to know to fill your programs. All right, guys, so I do want to, again, just kind of close by reminding you, go to leslibitel.com/MSI and save your spot. We start on Monday. I think you're going to get a ton of value from this event, and really is going to help kind of put all the pieces together that we've talked about today. We're going to take a much deeper dive into all these levels, and you're going to walk away with your own plan, an actual implementable plan. And I'm super excited about that. All right, so I would like to take a few questions because I'd love to help, whoever needs it to be able to implement. All right, so I am
Yes,
ready for
we
some
have a
questions.
ton of questions
Okay,
actually coming through, and a
great.
lot of um,
Thanks for
a
bearing
lot
with
of
me, everybody. I had so much to cover.
No, I think we all loved it. I loved it. There's a lot of feedback, well done, great
Oh,
presentation. People who had to leave early asked for the recording. There's a recording of this for sure.
great.
So I think very engaged, very great content. I think, as you've said, it's valuable to leave with something, and I think there's a lot to leave with. So
Good.
I'll jump right in. And again, the questions have been asked throughout, so you may have touched on it a bit, but I've kind of looked at the questions and kind of grouped them, so I think they're valuable. Anyway, to start off, it goes back to your pyramid, and it's more, I think you did touch on it a bit, but how do you decide the content for each level of the pyramid without feeling like there's too much repetition of the same content as they move throughout?
Okay, great question. It's here's what I would recommend. I would recommend, so remember, people don't necessarily move through every single level. That's a really important point, okay? So what I would do, and I'm going to answer the question, but I just want to emphasize an important concept. So you're going to want to focus on free and private first, packages and programs. So that's where I think you can get traction right out of the gate. And then you're going to decide, which area do I want to build out next? So you're not going to, I don't recommend you attempt to build out all 3 areas or, 3 levels of that profit pyramid. You want to pick. So that's going to help alleviate some of your concern about overlap, I think, right? So,
Yeah.
right? So, okay, so let's say that, but one question that is outstanding then is, okay, so let's say I'm going to do free, something free, and then the paid thing. How do I prevent too much overlap?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me try to answer that. So there's a couple different ways you can look at that. You can include maybe 20% of your paid content into your free content. Like, that's just kind of a ballpark, or maybe 10%. So it doesn't have to be like black and white, right? There might be a teeny bit of overlap. So the way you want to look at it is your free thing does need to be kind of lead into the paid thing. It has to be a logical,
Yeah.
sequence. It can't be like completely unrelated, because then it just won't make sense. So you could create something that's going to help for free. You could help do something that's going to help your clients be more successful in the paid experience, right? I think that's a great way to look at it. You could give them an overview of the steps that you're going to teach deeper in the paid event or the paid program, or you could pick one of the steps that you're going to teach in your paid program and drill deeper in that free thing. So those are just a few ideas to get you started. but do make sure that they are connected in some way, right? You
Yeah.
don't want them to be like completely like non-related. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I think so. And then kind of rolling into like the next question is about how to market or do marketing around these services and
Yeah.
programs. And there was kind of a lot that came through. And the basic question was, what do you recommend as the best way to reach those who do not know about you yet or do not know about the products or services that you offer yet?
Okay,
Is there a
great.
way that you use that's best to reach them?
Yeah, well, one thing I want to recommend, honestly, as a starting point, is that you're really clear on your message, right? And I know that's not the
Mm-hmm.
topic of today's session, but it is really important that you're able to convey in a nice, concise manner who you help, what are the problems that your audience is experiencing that you can solve, and then what are some of the results that your program is going to help them to achieve? So the positioning and the messaging is key. In terms of how to get in front of your audience, so basically remember, you're wanting to get in front of your audience to bring them generally, I would say, to the free thing, right? Because you're providing goodwill, they're getting that taste of your work. Oh my gosh, social media, you can do Facebook
Mm-hmm.
Lives, Instagram Lives, you can do what I'm doing today, right? Doing a webinar, inviting someone to a next step. Again, my next step is a free next step. I love doing free stuff. You know, I'm passionate about helping people. You could do live talks. You could lead people from like Instagram, just as an example, to your free thing. And I frankly highly recommend that that's how you use social media. Um, because you want to move people from social media onto your email list. That's such an important thing. There's just so many ways. You could ask if you've got like maybe colleagues or local businesses that also serve your audience. You could ask if they would be willing to share that, you know, the link for that free thing that you've created, which I think is a really great idea as well. So it really depends on your market, but I love the idea of, you know, creating collaborative relationships with
Mm-hmm.
other people and businesses that also serve your audience. I think that is just such an awesome way to move forward. It's really
And it
fun.
goes back
Yeah.
to what you said about knowing your audience. You know, if you know your audience, you can develop that message and then, you know, make those connections. And actually, we had a lot of questions about how you feel about social media and using it to, you know, gain a passive income, boost followers on social media. So,
Yep.
I mean, you've
I
answered
can
it.
comment quick on that.
But yeah.
Oh, do you want me to? I can.
Sure, sure. If you want to elaborate a little bit, you know, it was more how do you utilize private Facebook groups and feel
Okay.
about income via social media. I mean, it's very general too, but if you have any, you know, recommendations
Yeah,
or
yeah. Okay.
learnings.
So just a couple of quick points on that with social media. So the thing that's great about social media is it expands your reach, right? You're able to reach people that you would
Mm-hmm.
never otherwise really honestly have access to. So that is awesome. Um, Here's the caveat though. I, in my experience, we need to use social media to drive traffic to your free thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen people be super, super successful with some unique exceptions, right? But generally speaking, I think for practitioners, it's better to drive social media traffic to your free offer and then, you know, have that email sequence in place or offer, you know, another free step to develop that goodwill and then invite them into your paid program. You could also do paid ads, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you're going to do paid ads, that's great, but don't waste your money on doing paid ads, pointing them to a paid product, because honestly, I've just never seen that work, but it does work. It can work if you're driving traffic to your free download. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully that helps. I think that's the
Yeah.
key to social media. It's a great platform because it expands your reach, right?
Yeah.
but just drive traffic to the free thing instead of trying to, I mean, it might work if you're if you've got like a really low cost product, like a $27 product, for example, it
Yeah.
can work in those cases, but it's not generally going to work if you're trying to drive traffic to a $500 product, right? Because they don't know you enough. So hopefully
Yeah.
that helps get you started.
Yeah, no, that's great. The free step to get them in the door, that incentive, I think is the valuable way for sure. And then, with that, we got a ton, probably the most questions on the types of platforms and the services and software you use. So like what specific platforms do you use for your courses and the programs? What do you use for like the visuals and the slides and the artwork?
Okay.
Your pre-recorded things versus your live. So
Okay.
basically, yeah, the
I
platforms
can
you
answer
use.
that pretty quickly. So I'll speak for myself as well as many of my clients. Okay, so I use Zoom for almost everything. Okay, I do Facebook Lives every week, but that's kind of a different thing. That's like a free every week thing. But I use Zoom almost exclusively for all of my paid programs. I use it for my group programs, and it works really, really well. You can download the recording. You can upload the recording then into like a membership site if that's what you want to do. There's lots of different choices. It's like Teachable. A lot of people use Teachable. There's Kajabi, which is kind of like the Cadillac. I don't even use Kajabi, guys. So, I use a product called Simplero. It's a European company that, I think it's pretty nice, not as well known. My recommendation, believe it or not, I wouldn't worry so much about all the technology just yet. My honest recommendation is to really think more strategically, get your strategy in place, and then we can worry about the technology. But in the meantime, I would just say lean into Zoom, 15 bucks a month for a paid account, right? That's what I use for the most part. And graphics, Canva, right?
Yeah.
Try to bootstrap it, because here's what you don't want. You don't want your overhead and all these, you don't want it to be so high that you're really under pressure, like to make your return on investment, right? You want it to be good and high quality, but you don't have to invest in a lot of bells and whistles to have a nice program, right? But one thing you guys do need, to be clear, you do need an email management system, okay? Absolutely is a must. So Constant Contact, MailChimp, what are some other ones? There's tons of them, but don't
Yeah.
overthink it. That's my other piece of advice. Try not to overthink it. Just pick one and go with it. Get your emails all sorted so that you can automate your process. So I would say that's probably one of your first steps. Pick an email system and just go with it. And then, the other stuff, like even some of the EMRs actually allow you to drip content, to be perfectly frank. Some of my clients just use like Practice Better and they drip the content through there. So you
That was
guys,
actually one of the companies that people have said that they've used. They liked it. It's being used, but they were wondering if there's like a different platform or something that you used
there's
out there.
but if you're already using that, I would start kind of minimal. And then as you get more experience and you start to generate some revenue, you can add on. So again, your email system, that's different than Practice Better, guys. That's different. I'm not suggesting that you email your list through Practice Better. Okay, so I do want to be clear about that. So get an email, management system. Lean into Zoom, Canva. You can use their free account. What else? And then maybe if you decide you want a password protected, something other than like Practice Better, you can use Teachable or, one of those other platforms like Kajabi or Teachable.
Yeah, and I think now too, with the world as it is, those automated email like Constant Contact and MailChimp are quite intuitive and can be easily set up and kind of get off the ground faster than maybe in the past. So
You know what they do for you? Just a little, and this is kind of a newer phenomenon, is they allow you to create like sales pages, which is really
mm,
pretty cool right in those systems. So, um, you know, years ago, you weren't able to do that. You would have to
yeah,
hire someone to build you a sales page, and it was, you know, much more involved. But I've seen some really nice sales pages created through those, you know, those email platforms. So I would say, guys, just make sure you've got an email platform, because part of being successful in this model is having an email list, right? We want you to have like a nice engaged email
hmm
list where they know, like, and trust you, so that when you put out an offer, they're like, oh my gosh, sign me up, I'm ready. You know, they're kind of waiting with bated breath. So
yeah.
really an important step.
Well, I'm very conscious of timing too, and I know we could probably talk all afternoon because there's
Yes.
so many questions. I did post in kind of the chat a
Okay.
link to, well, the link you have on screen there, and a little more information about it. So there is that as well, right in the chat. But this is being recorded, as I've said, and we'll send out a follow-up email with this recording, which we'll also we'll do like shortly. So you'll have a link to the course for that starts next week, I think, right in
Yeah.
there as well. So everyone can have access to that and check it out, and then maybe bring your questions there for some more Q&A as we go. But
Please.
Lesli, thank you for being here today. Another great webinar. We love having you here. They're just so jam-packed with information, and I know people leave very, very happy. So
Great. Thanks, everybody. It was really
yeah.
fun spending some time with you. I just want to leave with the message that you can do this. There's definitely some moving parts, but you can do this, and it's an exciting time, right? So yeah, so grab your spot in my program starting on Monday, because as I said, day 4, 100% Q&A.
hmm
So I'll be able to, any questions that we didn't get to today, I promise I'll get to them in the live event next week. All right.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much, and everyone enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining us.
Everybody, bye.